Fellow Stoic, they never wanted you to know this, but emotional strength is not a gift, it's a choice. These 10 habits will make you mentally unshakable. Are you ready? They told you that emotions define you, that feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or reactive is just who you are. They conditioned you to believe that your feelings are uncontrollable, that you're a prisoner to your impulses, that you should just accept it. But what if I told you they were wrong? What if emotional strength isn't something you're born with, but something you build? The truth is, they don't want you to master your emotions, because the moment you do, you become untouchable. You stop reacting to their games, their manipulations, their attempts to break you. They can no longer shake your peace, steal your energy, or control your mind. And that's exactly why you need to hear this today. In this video, I'll reveal the 10 habits that will make you emotionally unbreakable. You'll learn how to control your reactions, master your mind, and become the kind of person who remains calm, focused, and unstoppable, no matter what life throws at you. If you're ready to take back your power, hit that like button and comment yes if you're done letting them control your emotions. Because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. And by the end of this video, you will understand why they never wanted you to learn this in the first place. Let's begin. The power of emotional control. Imagine this. You wake up feeling determined, but the moment you step out into the world, they test you. A co-worker's passive-aggressive comment, a stranger's rudeness, a family member's disapproval. They push your buttons, hoping for a reaction. They want you to break, to lose your composure, to be ruled by impulse instead of reason. Maybe in the past, you would have snapped back, let frustration take over, or carried the resentment with you for hours. But what if today was different? What if today, you refuse to give them that power? Picture yourself standing in the same situation, but instead of reacting, you pause. You take a breath. You see it for what it is, just words, just noise. And in that moment, you make a choice. You choose peace. You choose control. And that is the moment they realize they have no power over you. But let's be honest, emotional control isn't easy. Society conditions us to believe that our feelings should dictate our actions, that if we're hurt, we must lash out. If we're angry, we must express it immediately. If we're disrespected, we must retaliate. They tell us that to be strong means to dominate, to overpower, to win every emotional battle. Yet, has that ever brought you real peace? Have those outbursts, those heated reactions, ever truly solved anything? Or have they left you feeling drained, manipulated, and weak? The truth is, every time you let anger, frustration, or sadness consume you, you hand over your strength to someone else. Every time you react without thinking, you let them set the terms of your emotions, your energy, and ultimately, your life. It feels personal when someone tries to provoke you, but here's what you need to understand. It's not about you. It's about their own lack of control, their own inner chaos spilling out. And the moment you learn to master yourself, their power over you disappears. This is exactly why the Stoics taught that true freedom has nothing to do with changing the world. It has everything to do with changing your response to it. As Epictetus said, "Men, if you learn from me, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing, you will feel no distress, no anger, no compulsion, no hindrance, but will live undisturbed and free from all distractions." He wasn't promising a world without hardships or injustice. He was revealing a hidden truth, that the external world can only disturb you if you let it. The great Stoics understood that life will always test you, but those tests are not there to break you. They are there to forge you into something stronger. Marcus Aurelius himself, an emperor ruling during plagues, wars, and betrayals, wrote in his private meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does this tell us? That control is never about changing them. It is about becoming unshakable in the face of them. They expect you to react, to break, to let their words or actions dictate your state of mind. But the moment you choose not to, you reclaim your power. And something amazing happens when you make this shift. Your entire reality begins to transform. The same situations that once triggered you no longer hold the same weight. The insults that once stung lose their bite. You start seeing their tactics for what they are, desperate attempt to pull you into their chaos. And when you refuse, you rise above it, people begin to notice something different about you, a stillness, a presence, an authority that doesn't need to shout to be heard. You stop being an easy target for manipulation, and those who once controlled you start losing their grip. And as you practice this mastery, opportunities start to open up. You become the person people respect, the one who remains composed under pressure, the one who others look to for guidance. Because in a world of people who are easily offended, easily provoked, easily manipulated, true strength is rare. And when you embody it, you set yourself apart. This is why emotional control is not suppression, it is transformation. It's not about pretending not to feel. It's about training yourself to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. When you master your emotions, you gain something far greater than temporary satisfaction. You gain freedom. The kind of freedom that allows you to walk through life untouched by the opinions, actions, or negativity of others. The kind of freedom that allows you to be fully in control of your destiny. And that is why they never wanted you to know this. Because the moment you become unshakable, you become unstoppable. Come in control if you're ready to take back power over your emotions. Up next, the first habit that will transform your mind forever. Practicing self-awareness. There was a time when you didn't even question it, when your emotions dictated your actions without a second thought. You felt anger and you lashed out. You felt hurt and you shut down. You felt disrespected and you fought back. And in those moments, it felt justified. It felt natural, because that's what they taught you, to trust every emotion as if it were truth, to let your feelings steer your decisions, to react without pause. But where did that lead you? Did those reactions ever bring you real peace, or did they pull you deeper into the chaos? The truth is, living without self-awareness is like being thrown into a storm without a compass. You don't know why you're feeling what you're feeling. You don't know why you keep falling into the same patterns, making the same mistakes, or being controlled by the same triggers. And worst of all, you don't even realize it happening. That's exactly what they want, because a person who is blind to their own mind is the easiest to control. But once you wake up, once you start to see, the game changes forever. Because what if I told you that the emotion itself isn't the problem? The problem is your relationship with it. They want you to believe that every feeling you have is absolute, that every impulse must be followed. But think about how dangerous that is. Have you ever been consumed by frustration only to later realize it was over something trivial? Have you ever made a decision in a moment of emotion that you regretted when clarity returned? What does that tell you? It tells you that emotions are temporary, but their consequences can last. And yet, most people live their entire lives acting on these fleeting feelings without ever stopping to question them. This is why the Stoics taught that true power comes from observing, not obeying, our emotions. They knew that a reactive mind is a weak mind, and weakness makes you a puppet to the world around you. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply, which is why he constantly reminded himself, be aware of what your mind is doing. Because without awareness, you are not in control. Your emotions, your impulses, and the people who know how to manipulate them are. But the moment you become self-aware, you step outside the illusion. You start to notice the patterns. You catch yourself before you spiral. Instead of saying, I am angry, you say, I notice that anger is arising. This is a shift that changes everything. Because when you observe your emotions instead of becoming them, you gain the power to choose your response. This is not suppression, it's mastery. Suppression is pretending you don't feel something. Mastery is feeling it fully, but not letting it dictate your actions. Seneca once wrote, a consciousness of wrongdoing is a first step to salvation. In other words, once you see what is happening within you, you can begin to change it. And this is where they lose control over you. They expect you to react, to be predictable, to be ruled by your own emotions. But when you pause, when you step back and observe, you become someone they can't manipulate, someone they can't provoke, someone who owns their mind instead of being owned by it. And then something incredible happens. Life slows down. The same situations that used to trigger you suddenly feel different. Someone insults you, and instead of reacting, you analyze. Why is this bothering me? What belief is being challenged? Is this even worth my energy? The same distractions, the same emotional traps, the same manipulations that once consumed you now stand powerless before you. Because when you train your mind to see, you stop being led by blind emotion and start leading yourself with wisdom. This is a moment when you realize that the greatest battles were never outside of you, they were always within. And now, for the first time, you're winning. You begin to notice how much energy you save by not engaging in unnecessary conflict, how much peace you gain by not personalizing everything, how much clarity you feel when you're no longer drowning in your own reactions. And people see the change in you. They sense your stillness, your composure, your presence. They can't quite figure out what it is, but they know they can't shake you like they used to. This is the power of self-awareness. It's not just a habit, it's the foundation of everything. Without it, you are at the mercy of the world, a ship tossed by every wave, every wind, every storm. But with it, you become the captain. You dictate your direction. You choose what deserves your energy and what does not. And that choice, that's your freedom. So now, you have a decision to make. Will you keep allowing them to pull your strings, or will you take back control? Comment aware if you're ready to break free from the cycle, to see through their games, and to reclaim the power that has always been yours. And stay with me, because the next habit will test your strength like never before. We're only getting started. What you've heard so far is powerful, but the next habit will challenge you in ways you never expected. If you're finding value in this, don't forget to subscribe, share this video, and click the super thanks button to support the channel, because spreading this knowledge makes us all stronger. Now, let's dive into the next level of emotional mastery, embracing discomfort and staying present. They have spent your whole life training you to run from discomfort, to seek the easy way out, to numb yourself with distractions, to avoid any situation that makes you feel uneasy, uncertain, or exposed. They gave you entertainment, endless scrolling, fleeting pleasures, anything to keep you from facing yourself. Because if you never learn to sit with discomfort, you never learn to master it. And if you never master discomfort, you remain weak, dependent, easily swayed by whatever soothes you in the moment. But what if you flip the script? What if, instead of running, you turn to face it? Imagine standing in the fire of discomfort, not flinching, not fleeing, but letting it forge you into something stronger. That is the difference between those who stay bound and those who rise above. One group seeks relief, the other seeks resilience. And today, you decide which side you stand on. You already know the feeling. The moment something becomes difficult, your mind immediately looks for a way out. You start a new habit, and the moment it feels uncomfortable, you stop, you sit in silence, and the moment your thoughts feel too heavy, you reach for a distraction. You know you need to have a tough conversation, but instead, you put it off. This is a pattern they want you to follow, because every time you avoid discomfort, you reinforce weakness. And the more you avoid, the smaller your world becomes. You start living in fear of hardship, avoiding challenges, staying within the boundaries of comfort. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the moments where you feel stretched, where you're tested, where you want to quit but push forward anyway. The truth is, discomfort is not your enemy. It is your training ground. And every time you lean into it instead of away from it, you become stronger, sharper, and more unstoppable than they ever wanted you to be. This is why the Stoics embrace discomfort, not as suffering for the sake of suffering, but as a tool for transformation. Epictetus, who was once a slave, understood this better than anyone. He said, "Difficulties are things that show what men are." He knew that hardship wasn't something to be feared. It was something to be used. Seneca went even further, saying, "Throw yourself into discomfort. Set aside certain days where you live as though you have lost everything. Eat the plainest food, wear the roughest clothing, and ask yourself, is this what I feared?" The Stoics didn't just tolerate discomfort, they sought it out. They practiced going without so they would never be owned by their cravings. They exposed themselves to hardship so no difficulty could ever shake them. And this is where true freedom lies, not in avoiding pain, but in training yourself to endure so that when life throws storms your way, you don't panic. You don't break. You stand firm, unshaken, because you have already made discomfort your ally. And something shifts when you start embracing discomfort. The fears that once controlled you lose their grip. The things you used to avoid suddenly don't seem so intimidating. You stop running from difficult conversations, and you face them with confidence. You stop avoiding challenges, and you step into them willingly, knowing they will make you better. You begin to notice how much stronger you feel when you don't back down. How much clearer your mind is when you stop numbing yourself with distractions. How much more present you become when you stop escaping into the past or worrying about the future. Because that's the other piece of this. The only way to handle discomfort is to stay present. The mind loves to escape, to dwell on past regrets or future anxieties. But Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics, said, confine yourself to the present. Because the present moment is where your power is. Not in the past, which you can't change. Not in the future, which you can't predict. But now, where you can act, where you can choose, where you can build a resilience that will carry you forward. This is what they don't want you to understand. They want you weak, distracted, afraid of discomfort. But you are learning to face it, to welcome it, to let it shape you into someone they cannot control. And once you master this, you become unstoppable. Comment present if you refuse to let them pull you away from your power. And get ready, because the next habit will rewire how you see problems forever, reframing problems and eliminating complaints. At some point, life hit you hard. Maybe it was a betrayal that left you feeling powerless, a failure that shattered your confidence, or an unexpected challenge that made you question everything. You sat there, frustrated, asking yourself why it had to happen, why things couldn't just go smoothly, why life always seemed to throw obstacles in your path the moment you started gaining momentum. You looked around and saw others complaining, venting their frustrations, demanding fairness. And for a while, maybe you did the same, because that's what they trained you to do, to see hardship as an injustice, to see problems as reasons to quit. They wanted you to believe that every setback was proof that life was against you, that you should stop trying, stop pushing, stop believing. But what if that was the greatest lie of all? What if the obstacles weren't meant to stop you, but to shape you? Because here's the truth, obstacles are unavoidable. No one moves through life without struggle. But what defines you is how you see them. Most people allow challenges to drain them. They react with frustration, blame, and self-pity, as if complaining could change reality. But you already know that it never does. The moment you start focusing on what's unfair, you lose sight of what's possible. The energy you could be using to adapt, to learn, to rise, you waste it in resistance. And that is exactly where they want you. Stuck, distracted, weak. But the moment you shift your mindset, everything changes. What if, instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, you saw them as opportunities? What if, instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you asked, how can I use this? That one question separates the weak from the strong, because while they are busy complaining, you are busy growing. And when the next hardship comes, you don't break, you build. This is why the Stoics saw obstacles not as misfortunes, but as fuel for greatness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes a way." He wasn't just talking about endurance. He was revealing a secret about life itself. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of suffering, it isn't stopping you. It is the way forward. Seneca, too, understood this deeply. He said, "A good person dyes events with their own color and turns whatever happens to their own benefit." The Stoics weren't naive. They didn't pretend hardship didn't exist. But they knew that reality itself is neutral. It is your perspective that gives it meaning. To the average person, failure is the end. To the Stoic, failure is a lesson. To the average person, adversity is a reason to quit. To the Stoic, adversity is a reason to grow. And the moment you internalize this, you stop being at the mercy of life. You stop waiting for the perfect circumstances and start creating them, no matter what stands in your way. And here's where the transformation happens. You begin to notice that things which once overwhelmed you now barely faze you. That situations that used to send you into frustration or despair now spark something else, curiosity. You start asking different questions. What can I learn from this? How can I turn this to my advantage? What strength is this situation demanding from me? And as you ask these questions, something incredible happens. You stop feeling like a victim. You stop feeling like life is happening to you, and you start realizing that life is happening for you. Suddenly, setbacks don't drain you, they sharpen you. Challenges don't discourage you, they excite you. And you begin to see why the Stoics never wasted time complaining. Every second spent whining is a second lost. Every moment spent wishing things were different is a moment stolen from action. And as you step into this new way of thinking, you become something rare, a person who cannot be broken, because there's nothing life can throw at you that you will not find a way to use. This is why they conditioned you to complain, because as long as you're complaining, you're standing still. As long as you're focused on the problem, you're not seeking a solution. But you are breaking free from that trap. You are retraining your mind to see setbacks as lessons, difficulties as training, obstacles as a path itself. And that makes you unstoppable. So now, you have a choice. You can remain as they want you, small, frustrated, stuck in endless cycles of resistance. Or you can take this moment, right now, to decide that you will never again waste energy complaining about what you cannot change. That you will take every single problem and turn it into an advantage. That from this day forward, nothing will stop you, because you will use everything. Comment strong if you refuse to waste another second on complaints. Now, let's prepare for the final and most important habits that will complete your transformation. We're reaching the final stage. The last 5 habits will not only make you emotionally unbreakable, but will turn you into someone they fear to challenge. Are you ready for the ultimate test? Mastering perspective and responding with wisdom. You've been taught to see obstacles as signs to stop, to take them as proof that something isn't meant for you. Every time life became difficult, they told you to turn back, to retreat into comfort, to complain about how unfair things are instead of facing them head on. And maybe you've followed that path before. Maybe you've let doubt creep in when things got hard, believing that struggle was a signal to quit rather than an invitation to grow. But deep down, you know the truth. You know that nothing worthwhile comes without resistance. Think about the moments in your life when you truly changed, when you became stronger, wiser, or more resilient. Did those moments come from ease? Or did they come from hardship? They want you to believe that struggle is the enemy, that obstacles mean failure. But what if the very thing standing in your way is actually the thing meant to shape you? Because here's the reality: you will face resistance. You will encounter challenges that feel impossible. You will have moments where everything in you wants to complain, to dwell on the unfairness of it all. And that is exactly where they want you, stuck, helpless, trapped in self-pity while life passes you by. But if you've been paying attention, you know that every hardship carries an opportunity. The only difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is perspective. You can see difficulties as barriers, or you can see them as stepping stones. You can whine about the unfairness of life, or you can ask yourself, how can I use this? This is the mindset that separates the weak from the strong. This is what turns adversity into advantage. And this is why the Stoics refused to complain, because they understood that every second spent complaining was a second wasted. Seneca said, "It is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it." And what is the greatest waste of all? Complaining about things you cannot change instead of using them to grow. This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." It's one of the most powerful truths in Stoicism. Obstacles are not just things to be endured. They are the very path to progress. A difficult boss, a failed relationship, a financial setback. These aren't roadblocks. They are raw material for growth. The universe isn't conspiring against you. It is training you. A weak mind looks at hardship and asks, "Why me?" A strong mind asks, "What can I learn? How can I grow? How will this make me better?" Because the truth is, the world doesn't care about your complaints. Life moves forward regardless, and the sooner you stop fighting against reality and start working with it, the stronger you become. Epictetus, a man born into slavery, understood this better than anyone. He taught that suffering isn't caused by events, but by our judgments about them. Change the way you see the problem, and the problem itself changes. And when you embrace this, everything shifts. You start noticing that challenges no longer shake you the way they used to. The frustrations that once consumed you now seem trivial. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control and start focusing entirely on what you can. You become solution-oriented, disciplined, focused. Instead of sitting around complaining about your circumstances, you take action. You adapt. You use every obstacle as fuel for your growth. And soon, people start to notice. They see the difference in how you carry yourself, how you remain calm when others panic, how you take setbacks in stride while they spiral into frustration. Because here's the thing, the moment you stop complaining and start reframing, you gain power that most people will never have. You become the person who doesn't just survive hardship, but thrives because of it. And once you reach that level, they can't stop you. No setback, no failure, no insult, no betrayal. Nothing has the power to break you anymore. This is why they trained you to whine. Because as long as you complain, you stay small, you stay weak, you stay distracted from what you could be. But you are training yourself to rise. You are refusing to waste another second crying over what you can't control. You are learning to take every single problem and turn it into an advantage. And that makes you dangerous. That makes you untouchable. Comment strong if you refuse to waste another second on complaints. Now, let's prepare for the final and most important habits that will complete your transformation. Here's an expanded version of your conclusion, following the structured progression while maintaining the impact of the original message. They never wanted you to learn this. Not society, not those who profit from your distractions, not even the part of you that clings to comfort over courage. Because once you do, you become unstoppable. No longer do fleeting emotions dictate your decisions. No longer do circumstances determine your peace. No longer do they, whoever they may be, hold power over your mind. You have stepped into the rarest of strengths, true self-mastery. And that, more than wealth, more than status, more than any illusion of control they offer, is the ultimate power. For too long, the world has conditioned you to react, to be tossed and turned by events, to feel powerless in the face of challenges, to seek validation in the eyes of others. It has sold you the idea that happiness is something external, something given to you rather than something cultivated from within. You have been trained to believe that you must chase endlessly, that you must fight against life's currents instead of learning to navigate them with wisdom. But you are here because something inside you knows better. You feel it, don't you? That longing to break free from the cycle of anger, anxiety, and doubt. That deep realization that you were meant to be something greater, not in status, not in possessions, but in spirit. The Stoics knew this struggle well. Epictetus, once a slave, proved that no chains could bind a mind that refused to be conquered. He taught that true freedom is not found in wealth or reputation, but in self-discipline. Men, if you learn from me, wherever you may be, whatever you may be doing, you will feel no distress, no anger, no compulsion, no hindrance, but will live undisturbed and free from all distractions. Discourses the 13th of March, 11. This is what they never wanted you to understand, that even in the harshest conditions, even when life seems unfair, your power remains untouched. You decide how you see the world. You decide what holds meaning. You decide whether you stand firm or crumble. And when you embrace this truth, the signs become undeniable. Where once you felt trapped in frustration, you now find clarity. Where once your peace depended on others, it now stands unwavering. Challenges still arise, but they no longer shake you. The insults of others lose their sting. Unexpected obstacles are met with calm resolve. Even pain, even loss, are no longer seen as punishments, but as parts of a greater path, one that shapes you into the person you were always meant to be. And people notice. They see a presence in you that cannot be rattled, a certainty that cannot be swayed. They may not understand it, but they will feel it, and they will wonder how you became so untouchable. This is the power of Stoicism, not to suppress emotions, but to master them, not to withdraw from the world, but to engage with it fully, yet remain unshaken. And now, it is yours to claim. If you're ready to embody this strength, if you refuse to be manipulated by fear, by anger, by anything outside your control, comment, "I am Stoic," and let the world know you have chosen freedom. Subscribe for more, share this message, and let's build a community of those who cannot be broken. Stay strong, stay stoic,